Good Sunday morning, everybody. Hope you're receiving a blessing today. It's a beautiful day. It's supposed to start turning cool here in Carolina. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to dip down in the 30s tonight. Hope your coffee's good. Hats off to Jeff Bates, one of my favorite country singers. Well, man, yesterday morning, one of the senior officers was shot and killed in the ER at the Wake Med Hospital facility in Garner, North Carolina. You got to think about the way they do the news, man. It pisses me off. They got the suspect in custody, but immediately they wouldn't say who the suspect was or show the picture. And that told me everything I need to know, man. And I'm going to put it out there. I just believe in being straight. I knew from that time on exactly who he was, what race he was, and all that. And then lo and behold, this morning, people going to give me smart comments. Man, I don't care. I believe in putting it out there. Because the way things are now with the racial tensions and everything going on, and the repeat offenders and what the usual suspects end up being, and that's something we're going to have to do. It ended up being a black convicted felon racial SOB. Don't like white people or cops, which is the usual thing. A lot of people don't like officers anyway. I mean, and having 30 years of it, I understand that. Law officers ain't the most favorite people, but I mean, I knew that's who it was. And you've got it in all races, because you're going to have hate. We're going to have hate till the end of time. It's not going to stop. And this idea of skin color granting you immunity or gives you instant justification to commit a crime, a gruesome crime where you unlife somebody, y'all gonna have to get out of that mind frame, because you're not the victim. That's not a victim. You just committed a crime. How are you a victim? How are you a victim? The guy was just kind of trying to calm things down in the ER. I reckon somebody needed medical attention, and he went to see what's going on. And see, that's the thing, man. And this is just me. When you retire out of law enforcement, stay retired, man. A lot of guys retire and get back into it. The idea of something to do, and I understand that part, and I've thought about it a lot, and I've come close. There's a medical facility now that wants me to go with them. They pay good money, man. And what the deal is, these hospitals here lately are creating their own private police, and it's a private police force on the campus of the hospital, and you conduct all law enforcement. You have the the authority to arrest and do everything that a regular officer does. But a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey man, I want to offer you a job, man, and all you got to do is say the word and you got it, and it's at a hospital." And the guy, he's a pretty good guy, and he's just looking out for me, man. And he thought of me because he knew I was a good guy. And when I done the job, I done it equal. I enforced the law equally, man. And you got to learn that and go by that Constitution, but learn that. A lot of officers are not doing that, man. It's like they skipped the Constitution or something. You need to learn that front and back, man. And how you approach people and treat people and that sort of thing. But anyway, I retired, man, and I want to stay retired. I don't want a lot of officers get hurt and unlifed when they get back into it, and they think because they've got all this experience, man, things have changed and people have changed. They will unlife you on a dime because they don't like your skin color, they don't like your profession, They don't like your political stance. It's all this childish stuff that I think is stupid. I'm independent. I don't go Republican or Democrat. I don't like the idea of the two-party thing because they always fight. But, you know, thing about the hospital, my question was, usually they have a place where metal detectors are set up so they can prevent somebody coming in with a weapon. Here again, that's where the hospital's doing cutbacks, or they don't have somebody in that day that can run the system, and therefore anybody can walk in unchecked. And it didn't make sense to me. But then on the other hand, the way they are, the hospitals want to control everything. But the first thing that I thought of when he called me, okay, and this is the truth, it's a good job. Most of the time you're walking around, you know, doing nothing. But you spend a lot of your time fighting them blessed mental patients, okay? Here, these are people, number one, they'll hurt you. Strung out on dope. They don't feel no pain. You're not going to get compliance out of them. I've sprayed them with pepper spray before. I've tased them and it didn't work. You know, and they'll beat the snot out of you, and you can't do nothing about it, just occupational hazard. As soon as you touch them, you're in trouble. Lost your retirement, getting sued. They claim you violated somebody's rights or whatever. They're the ones in the hospital acting a fool. That's the reason that they want private police there, to deal with them mental patients. Because the sheriff's offices and the city police are tired of going to the hospital, spending their day going to the hospital fighting mental patients when they're in the custody of the hospital. You see what I'm saying? As soon as they hurt them, then they're in hot water. It's kind of like peeing in one hand and pooping in the other. No. I'm not working at no hospital where I got to fight mental patients. You know. And I thought about it. I've got my resume up on the computer and everything. All I got to do is hit submit. But I don't know, man. When you're in law enforcement, when you're retired, stay retired, you want something to do, get you something part-time, truck driving, or bagging groceries, or helping at a pharmacy, or, you know, somewhere out of the public eye, man. You know, once you give your time, just like the military, you know, just go. That's me now. I mean, if you want to do it, hey, to each his own, you know, and still, you know, you working in the hospital like that, you're being exposed to viruses and bloodborne pathogens and the COVID, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's something to think about, and I wanted to put it out there. I know I'll probably get hate about the suspect, which, I mean, that's typical, man. I mean, I knew right then when they didn't say who it was. I knew exactly who it was, everything, and that's just 30 years of doing the stuff. You know, it's sort of, kind of a profiling deal, but the people's made it that way. They made it that so bad that you can automatically profile the bullcrap. And it's sad, you know. It's sad. At first, you know, I said, well, you know, it could have been a mental patient, a white person, a mental patient on fentanyl or hallucinogens or whatever you want to call it. But they would have posted it on the news. When they didn't immediately put it on the news, I knew exactly. Racial tensions, man. That's the Democrats' way. They don't like that. It's not their agenda. They don't like. They don't like that. But it's got to stop, man. But anyway, man, you like what you see and hear, baby, hit like and subscribe. You know, you send me some hate, I'm going to block you because that's my right. Everybody's got opinion, to each his own. You know, I respect that. But it's stereotypical, man, and it's sad. You know, I don't mean to be that way, but I want to be honest, man. I want to be transparent, yeah. I knew that's what it was. So, all right, guys, man, y'all have a good one.